so grotesque looking. This human-like skin, all these eyes that are down there. And suddenly as I look around and I see all these eyes. It cannot be. But I'm sure, I am dead sure I know those eyes. I see the eyes of Victoria, my love. I cannot believe it's her eyes sitting in this puppet's head. But I know it's true. It is definitely her eyes. Blue eyes. They're alive, but they are so dead. They're alive, but they are so dead.
The puppet master and his wife appear in the cellar for the first time. I see them there. I'm tied to this wall still, you know, and the puppet master comes in.
And I notice that there is an altar in here. It must be an altar, full of ancient books, black candles, everything you need for a ritual. The puppet master actually starts performing this ritual. I suddenly hear his voice speaking these ancient tongues. I can't understand any of it, but I start feeling so strange inside. It's almost as if somebody's taking my mind out of my body, just out of my head, just pulling it out. And I start getting panic. I just feel panic all over. And I kick one of these giant shelves full of these little jars with black liquid in them. Actually, it's blood. One of them falls all the way to the floor and smashes on the floor. It's just red over. The puppet master turns around from the altar and looks straight at me. And he says, "How dare you disturb my work?" And he did something he shouldn't have done. He interrupted his own ritual. And what happened from him not citing the ritual the proper way is that he gave my eyes eternal life. What he's doing in this ritual, apart from this, is he's trading souls with the demon that suddenly shows itself up in the symbol upon the wall. This demon he has dealt with many, many times. He knows this demon as well as hell. He knows everything. The demon will give him a certain kind of soul in return, a magical soul. A soul that can keep human flesh alive. Eyes, ears, hands, everything it can keep alive. And that's how they use the puppets in the theater. That's why they look so alive. At the end of the ritual, I feel so exhausted, as if almost everything has been taken out of my body. And I slowly faint away. I wake up after the ritual and I find myself strapped to this hospital bed. I see the puppet master and his wife standing there, and they say to me,
"First your eyes, then your skin. We will make you feel born again."
And then they say, "No more me, my friend." Then I see the scalpel shining in the puppet master's hand. His wife has got all the jars for blood. They are not going to spill a drop. Then comes the cutting. I'm fearing for my life as that scalpel gets close to my eye. He starts cutting away on my eye. Just one eyelid comes off, down into a jar. He cuts another eyelid off into the same jar. It looks like I'm bleeding. It's like I'm crying blood. Then he has this tongue he puts in around my eyeball and grabs it and he pulls it out of the socket. And then his fingers grab it and he takes it and he pulls it out. The nerve string is just hanging there. It's the only thing that holds it back. And then comes the scissor. Snap! And he takes the eyeball. And remember, my eyes have eternal life now. So this eyeball is taken and it's put over into this puppet's head. These puppets are almost life-size. He puts it in there. As it is put into the eye socket of the puppet, it still sees. And that eye is looking back at where I am. I'm sitting there with this black hole, bleeding. And I see that from this eyeball in the puppet's head. At the same time as my good eye is looking back, seeing this weird puppet with one of my eyeballs in it. I can see the whole time. And it hurts. Then comes the next eye, tongue. Pull out, fingers, stretch, snap. The other eye goes over into the little puppet's head. Now both my eyes. I can't see anymore, but I can. And I'm watching myself. This head with 2 empty sockets, bleeding like hell. And then the scalpel works again and he starts cutting and cutting and cutting. They pull my nails off with the tongue. They cut my skin off. My arms, they're going to use it for this puppet. They're going to build a puppet out of me. And they do. And at the end of this horrible, horrible ritual of this scalpel just massacring my body, I look from the puppet. From the puppet's head I see only remains of what used to be me. There is no more me at all. All I see is Emerentia as she grabs my carcass and throws it in the trash. That's the end of me. In Blood to Walk, they have made a puppet out of me. I'm actually sitting on my shelf. I have my little jar of blood that's going to be used for me every time they're going to bring me back to life. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at all the other puppets because my eyes are eternal, theirs are not. They all need injections to start functioning. I need injections too. And it must be our own blood, otherwise we will not function right. But today, something special is going to happen. As the puppet master and his wife comes down to us and says, "Hello, my children. My children. In blood I'll teach you today." They take Victoria down from her shelf and me from mine, and they set us on the floor, facing each other, looking at each other. Well, she doesn't see much because her eyes are so dead, but I see her. And then I feel the needle go in, Emerentia injecting my own blood, because it has to be my own blood. As the blood goes in, I feel my skin tingle. My eyes, as you know, they're alive all the time. But the skin, it starts tingling now. And I feel like I can stretch it a little bit. I can actually move very little, but I can. And then I see the same thing happening to Victoria. I see her eyes slowly come alive. For the first time in a while, we're actually looking at each other's eyes, and we recognize each other's eyes. We know what have happened to each other. We know what's been going on, and we totally recognize. We don't need words to speak. Our eyes speak for us. It's like our minds are now in our eyes. It's our eyes that are our brains. Our skin is our muscles, and we try to move them a little. The puppet master sees that we're alive, and he says,
"That's enough for today. Put them away."
At that point, we have now trained for many, many days. What we're actually doing is we get the shot, we can move a little bit, we learn how to stretch our skin, let our skin become muscles, you know, so that we can actually do these strange little movements, you know. We can actually take little steps and walk. Victoria and I, we are sitting on our shelves on opposite walls, spending whatever is left of this hour that the blood works every day. I mean, they bring us back to life every single day for about an hour. That's how long the blood will actually work in our bodies. We might have half an hour left every day, maybe 20 minutes, and we spend those 20 minutes just